Hello everyone and welcome back to Ronde for the 2023 season. It's the first weekday that I've been able to take advantage of here in mid-June, so hoping that the red carpet will be laid out. Access exclusive is new for this year at Ronde. Unfortunately, we don't have the red carpet treatment. We've never got it at any park for that matter. Maybe one day. Bienvenue, Ronde 2023. Let's go inside. Alright, we've come to the other side of the park, literally the opposite end as far as you can get from the front entrance. And you can't tell it from behind me right now, but this park is completely overrun with kids today. Lots of school trips, lots of camp stuff going on, I guess. The lines are already ridiculous. It looks like Monster's on a 1 hour wait already. As well, Goliath is on probably like a 35-minute to 40-minute wait currently. So yeah, only single train service on both of those rides, which is very disappointing. If the park knew in advance that they were going to have as many people as they have here right now, operations being slow as they generally are at Ronde, I just have to be honest about it. Yeah, it's not exactly impressive. So hopefully maybe they'll put a couple other trains out. Otherwise, I'm not going to be getting on those rides for some time because if you're in the lines, it's actually a lot because the kids are generally not really well behaved at this park. I have to be perfectly honest. It's just the way it is. They run into the line, they scream, they shout, they dance. It's really like there's a lust for life at Ronde for sure among the youth that come to this park. So this particular vlog, I'm going to spend most of my time pointing out a lot of changes, including the sign behind me. Even though that was here last year, I've just noticed a couple of cosmetic changes around the park, including a pretty significant one, which I obviously will point out and has been well known about, and also upset a lot of prior fans of this park. Also, since I've done a pretty substantial historical documentary on this park since I've been here last, there's a lot that I've noticed as far as the infrastructure that's left over from those old days from when the park opened. So I'll be looking at that and also, of course, getting on rides throughout the vlog. So I just wanted to set up everything properly for you before we actually begin our day, because there'll probably be a lot of scenics today. Rules being what they are in Quebec, we can't really have many people in Ronde in the video, so we're going to respect that rule, of course. And of course, no on-ride filming in the park as well. So those are the rules. That's the framework. One of the longest vlogs I've ever done is from this park, so we'll see how today goes. But I don't really know where we're going to go. We'll leave it up to chance. Here's a day at Ronde. Hopefully it won't be too frustrating. So these banners have appeared all over the park next to the major attractions, so I'll be looking out for them in other sections. There is one that appeared at Monstre, but Monster has a different change this year that probably will upset some fans of this park from the past. But Dragon has its sign already in place, as you just saw. Just finished a ride on Ondor here, about a 20-minute wait to get on, third seat from the back, so not so bad. Operations are kind of mediocre at the end of the day. They're, not terrible, but there's not a lot of enthusiasm involved with the operations, I'll say that much. Nor is there an expediency They could be getting the trains out quicker, but they're not. One train on Ondor. It wasn't that bad as per prior experiences on that ride. You know, it's decent for an SLC. It's not super rattly. The restraints was the key thing. They didn't actually have that stench that I remember as having on this ride before, so that was nice. I'm sure that'll change by the end of the season. But that's about it. Dragon as well, I did do it. I didn't cover the experience. It was decent as well. Dragon is what it is. All the features were running, which is nice. All the lights and everything. So as per a viewer mentioning that in an earlier video that I posted on that particular ride, all the lights and everything were running this particular run on a Tuesday here at La Ronde. All right, we gotta go. We're gonna go over to Goliath, see what the lineup is like. Hopefully it's not too crazy, but I think I might even go all the way back to the front of the park. It's a hot day here in La Ronde, as you can already tell, so let's get on with it. Before I leave this area, however, I should point out that this exit area used to be the old Quebec village, as you can see still features of, which unfortunately has not been redeveloped over time. So if you come around the corner here, you can see old steps and the way it used to be interconnected, and it's now just become a obscure entryway for Ondor l'Attaque. In fact, since we're here, we might as well have a look the interior, but you can see what I mean about the old Quebec feel of this area. It's really sad that this original theming wasn't retained, because it's really the best part of the park as far as theming is concerned. I really actually have never noticed this before, and it's quite fascinating how they've interpreted the original Man in His World logo as some sort of ancient warning for a possible attack by a sea creature in this area. Fascinating setup for the story of this ride, which unfortunately is a repurposed ride from Texas. So as you can see, basically the whole idea is that there was a sea creature that was disturbed from the St. Lawrence River that actually took sanctuary in the lake, the man-made lake, dolphins, at the time of its construction in 1967. I'm really a big fan of this whole setup. They even say that like during the construction they had found a wall, a mysterious wall that they couldn't really explain why it was there. And the theory is this large stone comes from Viking times, of which the creature was seen way in the past. However, in 67 the wall was apparently constructed to keep the creature out of Lake Dolphin. One thing we definitely need to cover, or at least mention during this trip today, is that this classic carousel, the Goliath, that dates way prior to Expo 67 and was built in Belgium in the late 1800s. The park has officially said that it will not be running anymore, possibly at La Ronde, and maybe ever again, as the reconstruction of parts and just the technical issues that it has, and as far as to reconstruct it and get it back up and running, would just cost too much for the park to take on at this time. Of course, there's another big ride that originates from Expo 67 that's also been rendered non-operational / it's not even here anymore. We'll look at it soon, because the sight lines in this park have changed significantly because of the loss of it. I certainly hope it stays. I've never actually been on this ride. It is indeed a classic of its era that should be preserved. All the original paintings and everything on the sides and on the horses, you can see the detail is there waiting to be lovingly restored by the right person or group. Now I know I'm suddenly covering a lot of history, but I might as well take advantage of the fact that the lines are pretty long. Goliath is on 2 trains right now, however, the line is still pretty significant, so I'm going to give it a pass until later. If you want to see my reviews of most of the rides and coasters, even though I've been on 2 already today, I think you'll probably need to skip to the end of this vlog, because I'm certainly going to get most of those in by the end rather than the early part of the day. But for now, I wanted to point out the Kaliba original restaurant, which really was just like a catering area for this place, but does date originally from Expo 67. Unfortunately, you can't get into this area anymore. You used to be able to walk around there. I have a separate video from 2 years ago of which I was able to do so and get a better look at that facility in the inside. It looks like it may be coming down, which I'm not so sure they can get rid of it. Another defunct ride that many know about and famous here is, of course, La Spirale, which you see before us here. La Spirale, I have only been on 1 time a long time ago. Not running today. Is Demon. I don't know if it's a staggered opening and it might open later, or if it has technical issues. It's not listed on the website as not being available, so it's not that exciting of a ride. To be honest, it's unique, but it's not that great, sadly. This is a shout out to Coaster Studios, who had just posted a video not too long ago about seating and other gripes in La Ronde that the park didn't have. Guess what? I think they're listening, because there is all these new gazebos and seating areas that have appeared out of nowhere in the middle of the promenade. Now, you probably know why. It's because these are actually probably covering the original footings for the monorail that came down through this section of the park. This is your first real dynamic look of how much this area has changed with that ride original to Expo 67 not actually being available. But I do like the fact that they've created this seating, however. That's a great idea. A great way to cover up what would be otherwise an unsightly thing. They've done the job right, though. They've announced that the monorail's coming out. They've got it out of here. They haven't left it just sitting here dormant as an eyesore. It's actually made the park look a little bit more fresh, despite some of the more older constructions that still surround the area here. The only thing that's missing, however, despite this looking great, is maybe a little umbrella or something right in the middle for some shade. Honestly, it could be used today. Now, many of you may know this area is the former loading and station area for Super Manège, which is not here anymore, and instead now we have some potted plants that take its place. I hope that those log flume boats from La Pitune have survived. We'll find out when we go over to Vampire, because that's where they were stored. But as you can see, this area is now just one big vacant space. Even more so because, well, this has been recessed a bit. Just beyond here is where Vipère was supposed to originally be located. There's a ton of land here now, of which could fit a pretty significant size coaster. I could even say, like, you could fit like a B&M flying coaster in this plot of land. It is that big. There's a new restaurant that is going to be opening up here. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be, but there's some new decking that's been constructed. Actually, I think this decking's been here since last season. But you can see some insulation and everything that's been worked on there, so clearly something is up. It would be nice if they had another seated area to eat here in Fort Edmonton, other than the saloon, which obviously is reserved for people like myself, who is going in now because there's so many kids here that I have to go into the saloon. Gotta do it once a year. Silver Garter, Golden Garter, whatever you want to call it, as it's had all of those names. It's the saloon, original, from Expo 67 in La Ronde in its early heydays. here we are. Could not get a seat upstairs like I normally do. I'm not even sure if I'm drinking this in the proper area, because we're down actually in the main patio area of Fort Edmonton, as the area beyond the terrace is full of patrons. Besides the point, I'm having a beer called Platoon, which is from a brewery, local craft brewery. It seems to be just like a standard blonde, but the reason why I ordered it was because it's named after the famous raft ride here. So tasty, it's going down very well, it's perfectly refreshing, exactly what I needed right now. I need some water. I also wanted to point out though that you can only get the beer appears in one of these commemorative or collectible cups, which if you are not in the mood to pay $2 for, I'm not sure if there's another option, but you get a $2 coupon off of food, plus you'll get, if you bring it back, you get a $2 coupon off of food, which seems like a trap to me. It's a way to kind of make you have to buy more food in addition to your drink once you take the cup back. Kind of weird. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments about how this system works, but it seems like a little confusing to me. Just figured I'd cover what I'm having for lunch here. 2 delicious pieces of pizza, which are very thick and crusty and hot and fresh. I'm excited. And the cheese tastes delicious, along with the beer, of course. This came from Pizza Ronde, which is just around the corner. It's not actually in Fort Edmonton, at least not the location that I got it from. There is one just over there, however. I'm very curious to see what they have planned here, as obviously there's been some new construction, and there is a plan for this particular restaurant. You can even see a bit inside. It has got a fair amount of space in there. So I'm hoping this is good news that we get a nice new themed restaurant, as it's definitely needed in this park. Just a generally well-themed restaurant. Although that being said, with Haute Gourmand and also the saloon being in this location, I would say that spacing it out would probably be better than having a new one in Fort Edmonton, but it's welcome nonetheless. This is an accessibility ramp, so clearly there's something going on there. One thing I wanted to point out, I've done a history tour of La Ronde, obviously, and this vlog has been half history tour so far. As we leave Fort Edmonton, still looking pretty authentic to what it was, to be honest. Outside of the actual concessions and stores that are available. There used to be a barber shop in Fort Edmonton, if you can believe it or not. But that was a long time ago. The main thing I wanted to point out, however, even though these trees have grown in substantially, you can still see original fixtures in the trees here, i.e. this original light standard from the expo days that's hidden in the trees. But also, if you notice, there is these logs. We're gonna have to go around this water hazard. Well, this is exactly what I wanted to show you. Was if you've seen a picture of the main drag or the main thoroughfare of La Ronde, you'll notice that on the left-hand side where Fort Edmonton is, they had these large posts that stuck, like a large post without beam fencing, basically like a Puritan type of village of some sort. Well, they're all still here. They've just been sawed off, but are all still within the trees, as you can see. So I just figured that was an interesting little fact of history that still exists here at La Ronde. Of course, we have the central fountain, which is not functioning today. I'm not sure if this is a maintenance issue or if it's just a cost issue, in the sense that it is not a peak day. However, the evidence speaks for itself with these flowers that are located just inside there, giving a clear indication that either this fountain will not be functional this year or it is just not ready. I'm going to stop myself because this entire trough, I believe, used to be water, It's sad that I don't remember it, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. So that means that this fountain is now no longer in service, which I'm gonna say that if Six Flags allows for this centerpiece to also go into disrepair, the people of Montreal are not gonna be happy about it. There's a lot of stuff that's protected in Laronde from the Expo 67 days, and this particular statue is a central piece of it. There has been some improvements to Fort Edmonton. As you'll notice, the actual walls of these huts and the original storefronts, they're not really huts, but they're more just like a Klondike village, have been replaced. So we got some brand new surfacing here, which is nice. Looks like we're going to be seeing a major expansion to Fort Edmonton. Not expansion, looks like we're going to be seeing a nice improvement to Fort Edmonton. It's going to make it a little less colorful and more blandish. Kind of like that car showroom look that I like to always call things once they go gray. But I'm sure it'll be an improvement, as there's not many food options in this area right now. There is a coffee shop though, which if you've seen my earlier vlog from 2 summers ago, is welcome, because yeah, it's almost impossible to get coffee in this theme park. It is a touchy subject to cover how the monorail no longer exists. As you can see in so many retrospects of the sight lines of this park has been changed because of its absence. And we're also going to be going to an area down by Vampire and Titan, of which it will look quite different without the monorail. However, it still technically has a little bit of history still in the park, as in the station here at Fort Edmonton, there is a train actually still inside that station. You can just make out the car, which you can clearly see here. One of the few remaining original supports as well. I never got to ride it. I'm gutted that I didn't. As you can see, here is a summary of all the events that are going to actually happen here this year, and there's a fair amount, as we've got weekends or family weekends that start, you know, the 10th and 11th and 17th and 18th of June. I'm not so sure what weekend would be considered not a family weekend in a park, like an amusement park, but that is past us anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Of course, you have the Firework Festival, which is the main, most globally known fireworks display in the world, and a massive, massive undertaking and event that we are going to try to cover this year later on in the summer. You also have Saveur Extreme, so this is obviously extreme flavors or extreme taste. So that's going to be a food event of some sort. And then you have Brow and Bouffe. So it's obviously beef and beer. I don't even know what bouffe is like. That's not bread. All the weekends of September 2nd to the 1st of October. So it's obviously an Oktoberfest event that they're going to be having. And then you have a couple other ones that have been around for a while, including Electric Nights or Adrenaline Nights, which is sort of like a 18 plus club night at night here at the park. In addition, you have the Pumpkin Festival or Pumpkin Party, which would be the kids' Halloween event. And then finally, of course, Festival de la Frayeur, which Provided some major unplanned circumstance, we'll be coming back for sure this year for a return visit, as we enjoyed the 2 days that we covered 2 years ago on this channel. Looking forward to it. For the life of me, I do not know why people online pay more attention to where I am when the ride's already running than anything else. But yeah, here we are. Just finished a ride on Vol Ultime, or Ultimate Flight, just behind me. Decent operations on that ride. We got on pretty quick in about 10 minutes, and also has a decent cycle. It's not the longest, but it takes you all the way up, you go down, and you go back up. I can't complain about it. It was like 1 minute and 45 seconds. Pretty decent, but you know, it's not the highest star flyer out there, so yeah, it's probably, you know, it's definitely a family ride for that matter. Something I'm not too keen on, however, is this shipping container, which is a bit of a yellow eyesore in the sense that, you know, it is a food stand that's not even open, which I don't really understand though. We should probably just go inside and find out what the business is in there, because as it appears it's a Coca-Cola stand, but it just doesn't leave much to the imagination as far as, you know, what Six Flags is actually putting into this park as far as its future is concerned. It just looks a little bit like something that should be on a street, or on the side of a street in downtown Toronto and Montreal. But here it's in one of what was one of the best theme parks in North America at the time that it opened. And sadly, it's not the case anymore. We of course have Orbit over here, which has been running on a pretty rough cycle, as you know, this shot tower shoots you in the air, but it doesn't shoot you down. However, the descent after you're shot into the sky has been super slow. So we're going to be waiting until later on to actually get on this ride, and then we will give you a review. See what I'm saying is we have another one of these banners for Vampire. It's an interesting, it kind of gives me like a permanent haunt vibe with these banners here, and when you have this extended focus on sort of the darker themings of these rides here. Let's go on. It looks like it's a pretty decent wait. Of course, if you haven't seen my first ever vlog from here, you will not know why I'm a little nervous going down this queue line. Right in this particular area, a nemesis of mine. It's like there's no birds today. I don't want to say that too quickly, however. Have that punk coming, hit me again. Best Batman clones in the business, and no wait. It's crazy. I think a lot of people came to this park or this part of the park early, That's why it's pretty much a walk-on, which I'm welcoming it. No problems with a walk-on for a great ride on Vampire. We'll probably do more than one. Section of the park and get myself another refreshment as it's sweltering. One quick observation, this park definitely needs more shading in the queue lines, as I waited 40 minutes for Titan behind me, and that was quite intense. I'm sure I got a decent tan from that experience. Disco Ronde as well, I got quite a, the wait was only 5 minutes there, but they have no covering over the queues in this section, which is kind of unusual, unless there's tree covering like where Vampire is. Titan, great ride. Despite the fact that it was 40 minutes, I had to wait 40 minutes for it because it is probably the best flat ride in Canada as far as I'm concerned still. That little bit of Zamperla shake off of this Super Discovery really does add to the element. You only get up about 135 feet when you actually get to maximum altitude on the ride, but it's great. I've always enjoyed it. It is pretty much my favorite model of this that I've ridden so far in any theme park. So yeah, 2017 edition, and well better off for it, especially in this section of the park. Disco Ronde I did as well, and that can be as expected. A Husk break dance that has been here for quite some time and really has the original character, adds some original character what La Ronde was about back in the day. I find in that ride, definitely enjoyed it. A little bit of a short cycle. It really picked up speed at one point and then just slowed right down, which was kind of unusual to me, at least for the cycle time. And Vertigo is unfortunately not open today, even though there are some attendants over there, and they got that other section closed off for all the camps and kids that are here today. Good news is that in 2.5 hours or less than that, most of them are going to be leaving, so for the end of the park, or the end of the day, about an hour and a half, we're going to have probably a pretty dead park to get some of those major rides in that we want to get in. There's only 3 coasters left to do anyway, but I am planning on getting every flat ride done in this park before I leave today, and obviously every roller coaster, which should be pretty easy because there's only 3 left. Oh, they desperately need a new ride here. Alright, I need to sort of degrease a bit and get some hydration because this has been in this area for 2 hours now. We're going to come back later on and do Orbit, maybe another ride on Vampire for sure, maybe on Titan as well. It's going to be a very tight last hour and a half, so I have to really plan ahead here for this hour and a half before that. But I'm sure we'll do alright. Well attended, well staffed. I've noticed a lot of grounds crew. Now that we've settled in a bit, it's actually cool here in La Ronde. I'm enjoying the day. I was a little worried at the beginning. We continue on to a seldom used area of the park. I do like the new green shirts that the staff have on. I'm not gonna get a shot of that, but at the same time, I'm a big fan of that color. It looks cool. So big fan of the green shirts. This is the children's area, of course, Pays de Rombabail, which I cannot get into as far as rides are concerned, so we're going to avoid it today. I'm tired of begging to go on Choo Choo and being rejected. This path here, curiously enough, while it's still open, originally led to Téléphérique, which is the aerial cable car ride, which you see the station for here. Curiously enough, the opposite end station where on the other side of Lake Dolphin you would disembark is now Dragon. I'm not so sure we can go this far, but we're doing it anyway because La Ronde security just loves us. So in we go, in we go, in we go. Where we end up, nobody knows. Wow, you can see the original loading area. Fantastic. This is just a path that leads you around the back, so you can actually see the original station here. We're not going to go inside, but this is the closest that I've been to an original Expo ride that no longer exists. It's very fascinating. The services buildings that you see on this side, which has also been covered in a different vlog. All right, we've magically ended up on the other side, so we better get out of here before we get kicked out of the park. But it was good to share that. The first boomerang ever in North America and the second in history. It's well known and still running to this day and still running well. It's time for a ride on Le Boomerang. Cover that unfortunately Chaos is not open today, which means that we will not be able to give you a review on its functionality or how it's running this year. This Larson loop we've been on more than a few times. We also have Manitou, which is running, which is one of the more reliable rides here over the years. Former site or Astonef or Starship back in the day, but now it is Manitou. Okay, we're off for a slight emergency. As you can see, the red train is running on Le Monstre, a ride I haven't been able to get onto for 2 years, just as a coincidence because it never was open when I've come here, and the last time actually it was open, but the line was just so astronomically long. The crisis is that I haven't been on the green train side and even longer than that. It turns out both of them are open right now, so I'm getting over there right now. Hopefully get on both sides before it's too late. As mentioned, the signage has changed and the iconic Monstre sign that used to be here is gone. Which, to be honest, I'm not so sure anybody is going to be happy about that either, as it was a bit of an iconic sign for this park. Now it's gone with this really small, cheap one, which, for those of you looking for an RMC conversion, I don't know, it does look a little bit cheap, so I don't know whether or not that's a permanent sign. It certainly doesn't look so. It's really a pale shade of what it used to be. There was retracking work done recently on this ride. There's a fair amount of flat rides that are closed, so I'm probably going to be able to get all of them in today, including what's not open is Gravitor, which was just behind me, which we'll capture later. We've already covered Demon on the left, so there's just a small collection of rides over here. But the Husk Condor, one of the last ones running in the world, is actually running today. Because we're getting close to the kids getting out of here, I'm actually going to go and do a couple of these flats first before heading over to Goliath to hopefully get a couple of re-rides on that when it slows down a bit. thing I don't like about how La Ronde is situated is that there's a lot of empty space and disused space in this park. If it was more thoroughly planned, you could get some significant attractions in here, but unfortunately that over the 50-plus year history of this park, that has not been the case. Luckily, the Condor is running, however, so we're going to go on Condor, as it's conveniently named, and then we'll see you when we get off. A slight change of plans here, as literally half of the park went to Condor as soon as I tried to get in line. So I've come back to the other side of the park to come to Goliath, which has basically no line. So we're going on Goliath. We'll see you when we get off. Complete on Goliath, one close to the back, one close to the front. I counted 40 seconds of airtime on that first ride. It really does pack and deliver when it comes to that. For such a smaller B&M model, it's not a Giga Coaster, but it performs almost as well, if not better, than some Giga Coasters out there that I've been on. Just a brilliant return, the scenery and everything. It's always just been one of the most stunning rides as far as a B&M is concerned for the location. Maybe we'll slow down a little bit later on, because it looks like the kids are all getting their last ride here. Everybody with a backpack is running to lines trying to get those last rides before they say head out. So we're going to go and do something tamer. We're going to do some swings and wait it out, because I think that we're getting close to getting on Monstre. Let's hope. Alright, so I decided to do a third ride after Tour de Ville there, the swings, which is a nice little ride, and then we immediately got off of that and went straight for Goliath. But the only problem is that on that third ride in Goliath, there was someone in the front of the train. I was second from the back, and they were spitting in the air in every airtime hill. It was absolutely disgusting. The kids beside me also noticed it, and they were just completely revolted. So I usually cut these commentaries out of vlogs because I do want to stay friendly with parks. It has nothing to do with the park. It has everything to do with the people. And wow, like that's just absolutely abhorrent, especially after the pandemic, to have somebody to do that. The thing is that it was a grown man that did it too, so it's even more disgusting of a behavior. Ugh. Well, that's what you get sometimes when you come to La Ronde. It is what it is. We're gonna move on. We're gonna go to a different type of monster, and that is hopefully this wood beast that we'll finally be able to get onto. I've certainly set it up for long enough today. We're actually into the bobsled now toboggan because there's no lineup over here. Promised myself that I'd get on Condor today, so I'm coming back to do Condor now that there's no line. literally no line. It's 5:30 and it looks like our plan worked, so we're gonna actually go on to the red side first, as it's the side that we haven't experienced in 3 years or more from my last count. This has been an endless fiasco, but I know that some of you that like this channel know my trials and tribulations of getting on this ride for the last 3 years, and the saga continues. We'll do our best. It looks like this might be the time, unless we get someone that smells bad in the lineup, or if we get another 100 people in front of us because they had somebody hold the line and then sell their friends. I digress. Yada 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 yada. Monster, it's time. I'm convinced this is the one. Would you look at this? A sight I haven't seen in some time. It's 15 minutes to close. I've already had 2 rides on the red track, and now we're finally gonna go on the green for hopefully 2 more rides to close out our day here à la ronde. It, everyone. Let my hair be a testament to what just happened, as I finally got 2 rides on the red track and 2 rides on the green track on La Monstre behind me. First thing I gotta say, this lift hill has been retracked recently as of 2 seasons ago. If you look at the track work on the drop, you'll notice that it's actually a wider gauge than the rest of the track throughout the course, and it also has that wider metal plating that Titan track has. It looks a little bit worked in and rusted, maybe because it's been there for a year, but I'm pretty sure that is because it's a smooth drop now on that first drop. The green track, I did 2 rides on the red because it's rarely open whenever I'm here, and then I did the green track, and I have to say, that is the best wooden coaster in Canada. That was a wild ride. Yes, it doesn't give you the airtime that Goliath gives you, but if you like that kind of like crazy, uncontrollable wooden coaster, like you think the thing is going to break apart underneath you and you're really fearing for your life throughout the course of the ride, well, that's it. That was a great ride. I did it once. As soon as I did it, I was like, wow, that's the best I've ever ridden this ride before. And so I had to go around again in the back. I did the back seat for all the rides, just so you know. I would say though, you know, the green train just carries the course way faster than the red. The red almost stalled on that double helix, oddly enough, so that was with a full train. My final one in the green train was half full. The train before that was full, but the last one was half full. And yeah, we just flew around the track. It was excellent. I loved it. It's still a bit rough. In fact, it is a lot rough. But if you're okay and you know how to handle yourself on a roller coaster, or especially a wood coaster, and you get yourself onto a wheel seat, then you're gonna be just fine. Outside of that, our day here at La Ronde is done. Woo! I also need to confirm that the Zach spin track is no longer on site anymore. They finally got it out of here. It's not visible on the other side, so unfortunately that roller coaster will not open here. Who knows, maybe somebody finally purchased it and it will have a different life somewhere else. So we're just gonna get out of here because obviously the Ronde, as I know many times before, don't like you hanging around in the park. So I gotta get out to the main gate and we'll finish everything up over there. I didn't really cover my ride on toboggan, but it was decent. It was exactly as you would think. Great operations on that ride though. I will give a shout out to the ops. They did a very good job. Even though the queue was short, they got through the line fast, which is what we like to see here at La Ronde. All the water rides were open, and unfortunately I didn't do them today. I probably should have done Le Splash. It was one of the more popular rides today. And also the Splash Battle was open, Aqua Twist, as opposed to other attractions that were not. I feel like I'm almost married to this park because it's been a love-hate whirlwind relationship. But this has been the most successful day I've ever had it as a vlog here. I had an awesome time. No birds attacked me. No security attacked me and asked me numerous questions. The only questions I had were from the police outside of the park. But it was going to happen eventually in Montreal. You make up your own conclusions on why that was, but I have to say it for what it is. But they were perfectly friendly, and then, I explained what I was doing, and I was on my way. So nothing wrong with that. Excellent security. Here we go, the final wrap up. I'm going to be coming back tomorrow because I discovered, as you saw at the beginning of the vlog, that the VIP entrance is for Diamond and Platinum members. For some reason I didn't look, and I'm a Diamond member, so we're gonna do the red carpet treatment here at La Ronde for an hour tomorrow in a very mini vlog to sort of sum up everything that that's about. Get on 2 rides that I didn't do today to cover everything, and then get on our way out of Montreal for some other adventures in Ontario. But that's not here or there. We're at La Ronde, at least for the second last time this spring. Last time this spring. It's the first day of summer tomorrow, so a couple other things I need to wrap up though. I really feel like Six Flags is treating this property as like a used car that you just don't love anymore, but just keeps clunking along. Maybe like an old pickup that's 40 years old. And in this case, 66 years old? If I do my math right. I think that's right. So at the end of the day, 56 years old. Now, the reason why I say that is because I've noticed a lot of stuff in this park that's sort of been just like cheaply covered over. A lot of the improvements and new things that are coming aren't still ready, including the restaurant in Fort Edmonton. But they've torn out a lot of gear. Obviously the monorail is gone, and other things that we love replaced by nothing. This park needs some investment, and proper investment, to make the theming excellent, to bring it back to its former glory. This used to be the premier park in Canada, and unfortunately it's been surpassed by Wonderland, but that shouldn't be the case. There's a lot of potential here. Awesome day here, so I wasn't really expecting that. I feel like I come to this park looking for that challenge and to see, what's the day going to play out today, and who's going to be creeped out by me and all that junk. But really, I'm just here to enjoy this park. I do actually love it, and I'd have to say a lot of me feels like I love this park more than Wonderland for just the history alone and the vibe. And yeah, it's just a different sort of place. Yeah, it's unfortunate some of the incidents that I had here today, i.e. with the crowd trouble and with the spitting incident. You're going to get that in every amusement park, but if you're up to something a little bit more rough and ready, maybe not, roller coaster specific, you want more flat rides and a nice mix, then you're going to get it here at La Ronde. And if you magically get here on a non-busy day, then you can have a great time. It really is important that you get here on a day where it's not crazy, because if the park is busy, despite the fact that it doesn't have nearly as many coasters as most Six Flags parks, it does get pretty crazy, and those lines do get long because of operations and just the general one-train service sometimes with some of the rides like Monstre. Anyhow, that's a lot to take on. We're done. I'll be here tomorrow morning for a quick little brief wrap-up vlog before I come back at the end of the summer for another tour during the fireworks season. Thanks for dropping in, guys. See you soon.